Hello everyone. Hello. Yeah, welcome to my today's video. Today I'm just making a very simple turban. The picture of the turban that you are seeing is what I am going to be making, and I am using a damask fabric for this project. So the first thing I am doing is to cut out the base for this turban. I'm going to give you a detailed explanation so that you'll be able to understand what you are supposed to do. So we cut out the base for this turban. We cut out the base and we'll cut out two pieces for the base, and then we cut out the cover. The cover is 10 inches by 28, and then why the base itself, which is the tool that we'll be using for the cross or the V base, is going to be 8 inches by 16. So when you fold it, it become 4 by 16 or by 17. And then the next thing that we would be doing is for us to create a separate pleat different from the first one that we have covered. So to create that separate pleat, we'll be needing at least 31 by 31 or 30 by 30 or even 28 by 28 fabric size. You understand? All right, so quickly, the first thing that I would do is to sew the first cap. We're having like two different patterns of cap here. So we are going to sew the first cap. And to sew the first cap, we start by crossing the V. This V, I told you before, is 8 inches by 17. So if we do 8 inches by 17 and then we fold that 8 inches into two, it's going to give us 4. That is, the wideness will be 4. So if you do not like such wideness, you can work with 6, and then it can be by 16, by 17 or 18, because we are going to cut off the excess after we are done sewing. So it's not compulsory you leave it that way. By the time you are using your weaving machine, you will be trimming off the excess fabric. So then we are going to cover the back with this, because we are preparing a cap, which is the first turban, and then we will now have the pleat on top of it. So to prepare the first turban, we are needing two pieces to cover. And the reason I'm using the two pieces to cover is because I intend to add a chest wording between. I'm going to add chest wording. So that chest wording that I would be adding is going to give it a little bit of weight and make it look expensive, because when you use a fabric that is not standing and it's just too soft, no matter how expensive the fabric is, you need to give it a little bit of lift, and that lifting is what will bring the beauty of the fabric out. So that's the reason I would be adding the chest wording. And the chest wording I would be adding is going to be that is the light one. In chest wording, you have the one that is thick, and then you have the very light one. So it's that light one that I would be using, because the thick one might be too strong. So working with the light one is perfect for me. So I would also cut the same length of the fabric I'm using to cover, but the height of the fabric is 10, but the height of the chest wording will be 9. So it's going to just be like 1 inch less than the fabric, so that when you sew, you don't have the chest wording contending with the fabric. Do you get me? So that when you weave, it will just be as if it's only the what do I say now, fabric that will be there. The chest wording will not be showing. So that's the reason the chest wording is going to be less 1 inch from the fabric. So the fabric is 10 by 31, while the chest wording will be 9 by 31. I hope you understand that one. So when we sew, we are going to give a little bit of space between the band and the cover, so that it will allow us to attach the handle, like you see me holding that space there now. The space that I'm holding there is where I'm going to fix handle for this turban, which will allow me to be able to belt the bottom. But assuming you do not want to add handle to it, you can add your welcome tape, which is that what do you call it, some people call it hook and loop. You just add it so that you can like hold the base very firm, but I prefer tying, so that's why I'm going to add handle. And then after that, I would now cover this cap. So while I try to cover this cap, I would be covering it with about 12 inches. I'm covering with 12 inches because the fabric is a non-stretchy fabric. So if you cover with 10 or 10.5, because it's not a stretchy fabric, it will not be able to fit into the head. So for it to fit into the head freely, you are going to use at least 12 inches or 13, but 12 is perfect anyway. So after closing, we put it aside, and then it would be time for us to begin to create the pleat which we are going to be putting on top of it. So creating that pleat, I told you earlier that the fabric I would be using is 30 by 30 or 31 by 31. You can even do 28 by 28. It's just going to be a square fabric, so that by the time you are done with the pleat, you determine the exact size that you are going to use to fix it. I would be telling you that as you follow the video carefully. So I'm just pleating, and you can see how carefully I'm trying to pleat to ensure that the pleat is uniform. So you do not just pleat and one is small, one is big. It's very important that you try to make sure that it is uniform. All right, so I'm just going to pause a little to talk to those people who are just discovering this channel for the first time. This channel is Creative Ends International, and I welcome you to my platform. On this channel, I train on everything that has to do with headwear, ranging from fascinators to hats, turbans, and everything Zara cap, anything you can think of that has to do with the head fashion. And I trust that you will like this video today. So if you love this video, at the end of it, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel, and also please do not forget to recommend this channel to other persons, so that our community can grow. So I just want to say thank you for stopping by, and to all my returning subscribers, I love you so much. Thank you so much for always being here for me. Thank you. All right, so we are going to continue with what we had saying before. So as I pleat, I'm going to determine the numbers of pleats I want. So it means if you want more pleats than what I would get here, it means you will work with more fabric, especially when it comes to the height. So like I have 30 by 30, for instance. If you know you need more pleats than I already have, you want your pleats to be um fuller, you want it to be like, I believe that the pleat I have here should be like 8 or 6, I do not know because I did not count. It means you have to go like up to like 36. It can be like 36 by 30, it can be like 40 by 30. Then you no longer need a square. So now I need to add something to the back, and what I'm adding there is called breast tube, because it's stronger than chest wording. So I'm using breast tube. Now you can use chest wording, you can use breast tube, you can use foam, foam, FOAM. You can use foam. The light size of foam, I think, is 8.5 inch. You can use it, and it will be perfect for this job. But I think I actually prefer using the um, breast tube. Yeah. So now the space you are going to cover that breast tube with, the length of the breast tube I use is 2.5, and then the extra fabric I need to leave so that that breast tube can be properly covered is 6 inches. So please, I need you to take note of that, because you will need the fabric to be able to cover the breast tube or the foam or whatever you are adding to that end properly. So you have to make sure that the fabric is double the size of whatever you are using. Because I'm using 2.5, I left 6 inches. You can see that it's actually doubled. Yeah. And so that's it. So after adding the uh, breast tube to it, I would need to cover, and this is very important. While you are closing it, now you have to consider the length of the first cap that you made. So the first cap I covered it with 12 inches. So this particular one is going to be 1 inch more than the cap. So the cap is 12. This is going to be 13 or 13.5, as the case may be. All right. So that it can fit in properly. So you do not need to um, use the same 12 inch. It will look like tight and all of that, because already the cap has its own space to occupy. So you just make it 1 inch more than the cap so that it can fit in to the cap. All right, so after making sure that I close with 1 inch more than the cap, I will put it on the cap just the way you see it now. And then the next thing I would be doing is, how do I attach it to this cap so that these two can become one? Huh? So it's very easy to do that. I'm just going to turn the cap over, and then the lines that I used in joining, that's that part, I'm going to place the two lines together. That is for both the cap and the pleat. I'm going to place it together, and then simply I would use loose stitches to pull it together. So while I am doing that, I'm going to ensure that the thread that I am using is very thick and is thick enough to withstand the pressure of pulling these two caps together. And now that I am done with that, you can see how it is looking. And then I'll come back to the back of the turban, and then I'll still use loose stitches to pull it together again, so that there will be a little beauty. I'm just going to show you after I'm done with that. It's going to add a little beauty to it, so you can see how it's looking. So by the time I put the pleat on top of it, it's just going to give it a kind of transformation, and instantly you just see the reason you need to pull that back the way I did. So this is how this cap is coming out, and it's so beautiful. You can leave this cap like this, that is, you can use it without having to add any form of embellishment to it. But if you like, you can add embellishment. What actually happened was that I started by not adding embellishment, but later I chose to add a little bit, and bam, it was just transformed. Thank you. Thank you for watching today. I am done. I am done. So you can just see the transformation instantly. But it's a thing of choice. If you choose to add embellishment, it's a thing of choice. If you do not wish to add any form of embellishment, it's still beautiful that way. It's not compulsory. So bye. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.